Hey guys, can I tell you something that I don't say on the free feed? There was like a season in my life where from the outside it looked like I was doing everything right. Like I had all the apps and the trackers and the reminders, routines, research tabs open, and like the notes on my phone, the late night searches, the maybe this is it, maybe I should try that, let me check one more thing. Like I was measuring my sleep, logging my food, watching my energy, reading symptoms at 2 in the morning. Like the answer to my life was going to appear in like some glowing rectangle. And if I'm honest, I thought that meant that I was being responsible. Like I thought I was being wise and I was taking care of myself, But really, I was just slowly drifting further and further away from myself, which isn't good. And I don't know if you've ever had a season like that where you just become committed to fixing, tracking, understanding, improving, and then you stop noticing like that quiet ache underneath it all, because you're not lazy, and it's not that you don't care, but because somewhere along the way, care starts to turn into control, and control starts to wear the same perfume as fear, and that's where the part of me that I didn't see at first when I was, going through all of that in my life. And I remember feeling like I was exhausted, not because I wasn't trying, but because I was trying so hard in the wrong direction. I had handled so much in my life, and I had handled so much in my life, but then I had handed so much of that power that I had in my life to systems that kind of almost stopped listening to my own voice. And the strangest part was like the systems weren't even wrong. Like the apps weren't evil, the information wasn't necessarily bad, the reminders weren't useless, the tools were just doing exactly what they were designed to do. It's just that none of them knew me, like not really, like they didn't really know me. They knew the data points, the patterns, probabilities, averages, what usually happens, maybe what often happens, what tends to happen, but like they didn't know what it felt like to be me. They didn't know that grief, is felt in the body. They didn't know that stress sounds like something that's been hidden behind productivity. Like the apps didn't know the difference between tired and soul tired, or when my spirit was asking for gentleness, not optimization. So the machines or the tools, they were built for general personalization, or like a standard user that has a broad category, and I'm not a standard and neither are you. And I believe that's why today's video stayed with me in such a personal way, because when you really look at what's happening to AI health around the world right now, beneath all of the headlines and the innovation and the excitement, and there's a deeper confession like really rising to the surface. And the world is finally beginning to admit that the one size fits all is never going to save us. Like it really is. Like language matters, culture matters, access matters, context matters, trust matters, and maybe most of all, that people need to feel seen by the systems that they're being asked to trust. So when I was like reading and reflecting on all of it, and it almost felt like listening to different parts of the world say the same truth but in different accents. China in its own way is asking, why should healing be locked behind gates? Why should powerful tools belong to only a few? Europe is asking, can we please stop being dazzled for 5 minutes and start building actual things that we can actually trust? India is saying, our voice matters here too. Our realities matter, our people matter. Innovation is not owned by one corner of the world. And Brazil is whispering something practical and profound. It doesn't matter how clever a system is if nothing speaks to anything else. And then across parts of Africa, there's like a sobering wisdom that's saying a beautiful pilot is not the same thing as a living, breathing solution, So all of it to me just sounds like less tech story and like more of a human one. It sounded like the same thing so many of us have lived in our own bodies, and the experience of trying things that looked good on paper but didn't really truly hold us. So it's like the experience of being given information without intimacy, the experience of being measured without being known, the experience of being surrounded by tools and still quietly asking, can I actually trust this? And like, to me, maybe that's the real question beneath everything now, not just with AI, not just with health, but with life. Like, who do you trust with your body? Who do you trust with your data? Who do you trust with your energy? And who do you trust with your story? And I think about that a lot, because there was a morning not long after that overwhelming season when I remember waking up, not reaching for my phone straight away. That might sound small to somebody else, but for me, it almost felt like ceremonial. The room was quiet in that like tender way mornings sometimes are before the world fully remembers itself, like the light was coming through the curtains softly and everything felt still. And instead of grabbing for my phone to check what the night had recorded about me, I just sat there, feet on the floor. My breath was slow, no screen, no voice, but just my own. And I remember asking myself, almost awkwardly at first, but I hadn't asked myself this in so long. It was, what do I actually feel? Not what does the app say, not what does yesterday's numbers say, not what does the article say, about women's age or people under stress or people with the schedule or hormone pattern, blah, 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 blah. But what do I actually feel? And like the answer didn't arrive in some dramatic movie scene revelation. It just came quietly, like truth usually does. I felt thirsty, I felt tired in a way sleep hadn't fixed. I felt overstimulated, I felt emotionally crowded. I felt like my body had been trying to get my attention for so long. I'd been sending all these other calls to voicemail to myself when really I should be answering the phone for myself. Like, that morning really taught me something that I still carry now, and that's sometimes healing doesn't begin when you find the perfect tool. Sometimes it begins in the moment you stop running from your own knowing. Like that's why for you or for us, and especially for our premium and VIP warriors, I don't want today to be just about more information, because you can get information anywhere. I want this to feel like a hand on your shoulder, like a soft conversation, like something you carry with you when the video ends, so that if you can take anything from me today, it would be this: that there is a difference between being informed and being disconnected. You can know a lot and still be so far from yourself. You can have data and still not have clarity, and you can have access and still not have intimacy. And that's where the sacred part comes in for me, because before any system was digital, like life itself was already a system. The moon keeps time, the body keeps memory, the nervous system keeps score, and the heart keeps whispering long after the mind starts shouting. And our spirit keeps reaching even when we are buried in notifications and tabs and tasks and algorithms. So there is an intelligence moving through you, and it's ancient, it's subtle, it's precise, and no matter how advanced technology becomes, it cannot replace the moment a woman sits long enough to hear herself again. So today I didn't want to give you a checklist. I just wanted you to be here with me, and I wanted to invite you into a small ritual. At some point today, even if it's only for 5 minutes, just sit somewhere quiet with a cup of tea, or in your car before you go inside, maybe on the edge of your bed, or maybe outside somewhere where the air can touch your skin and remind you that you're still living and you're not a machine. And put your phone like face down, and before you even ask the world who you are, ask your body what it's been trying to say. Maybe it says, I need to rest, I need water, I need less noise, I need truth. Maybe it says, I need you to stop pretending and this thing isn't hurting you. Maybe it's saying, I need you to stop giving your energy to systems that only know how to extract and take from you. You know, whatever it says, don't argue with it immediately. Just let it speak to you. And then from that place, choose one act of devotion, like not a reinvention, like not a life overhaul, just one honest act. Drink the water, take the walk, delete the app you don't trust, read those privacy settings you ignored, step outside before checking your messages, look at the moon tonight and ask yourself whether life has any room for rhythm. You know, put your hand on your chest and admit what it is you already know. Just one thing. And I think people underestimate the holiness of one thing, and one true choice can begin to restore a person back to themselves. And if you want to go deeper, here's something that I've been sitting with. Technology should support your rhythm, not override it. Okay, so technology should support your rhythm, not override it. And that's the line I keep coming back to for me, because there's a way of using digital tools that feel supportive, and they're clarifying, and they're beautiful. And there's another way of using them that makes you feel watched that makes you feel like watched or rushed or dependent, and weirdly far away from your own core and your own center. So only you can feel the difference. You know, only you can notice whether something is helping you come home to yourself or pulling you further away. And that's discernment. That's real luxury now, not just access or speed, but the real gift of discernment. And that's the part of why this space matters to me so much, because what we're building here is not just content, it's not just premium material, it's not just extra videos and you know, deeper post behind the scene thoughts. It's really a different room. It's a quieter, truer room where you don't have to perform for understanding, where you can be honest about how strange and beautiful and overwhelming this digital world can be. A room where we can be intelligent and intuitive, strategic and scared, informed and deeply human. You know, and I want you to know truly that I feel your presence here, like I really do. And in fact, if you are in this space, premium or VIP warrior, that just tells me something about you. It tells me that you're not just looking for noise, you're not just looking for nourishment. It tells me that you're here to, like, you're not just here to scroll past in life. You know, you're here for something a lot more deeper. And some part of you already know that there's been another way to move through this world, and that is slower and wiser, clearer, more sovereign and more alive. And I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for valuing this space enough to be here. Thank you for valuing yourself enough to go deeper. Thank you for being the kind of person who wants intimacy in a world obsessed with speed. So if today feels noisy, if your mind feels crowded, you know, if your body feels like you've been waiting patiently at the door while your attention has been everywhere else, like, let today be simple. Like, come back to yourself. not perfectly or performatively, and not in a way that you can just post about it and package it and turn it into a new identity, but just quietly, honestly, like returning back home after being out in the cold too long. And if you need a place to begin here, and take one breath that actually reaches the bottom of your lungs, and take one sip of water that matters, and drink it like it matters. Ask that one honest question, listen for one true answer, make one loving decision, and that's enough for today. Like, that's more than enough. You don't need to become a machine to survive in the machine age. You don't need to outsource your inner knowing just because the world has built shinier mirrors. And you do not need to abandon the sacredness to engage the digital. You can do both. Wise and warm, grounded and informed. They say open and discerning, powerful and soft. And that to me is what a real digital warrior looks like. And that's who you already are. So thank you for watching and for being here. And I'll see you in the next one. Bless you.